So if you've had back pain at some point in your life, you've probably seen a healthcare professional and they've given you this. Or maybe you've gone to a yoga class or a Pilates class, or you follow an influencer, or you just did a Google search about the best exercises you can do for your back. At some point or another, you've probably stumbled across the bird dog exercise. This is the exercise where you're on your hands and knees and you're lifting up one arm and the opposite leg at the same time. And you've been told that this is the best thing you can do for your back and for overall postural health. I mean, they're not wrong when they say that, but what if I said that no one's teaching this exercise properly? Stick around, we're gonna dive into it. Hey everyone, Dr. Nick here, your friendly functional physical therapist, bringing you another segment of PT Tips. Today's topic, the bird dog exercise and its primary target, the multifidus muscle. A muscle that most people have not heard of before. So let's dive in. So the whole purpose of this exercise is to target a muscle group called the multifidus. Now the multifidus runs from the transverse process of one vertebrae to the spinous process of the vertebrae every 2 to 3 levels above it, forming this diagonal pattern up the entire length of the spine on both sides. So it is pivotal when it comes to spinal segmental stabilization. So what's the problem with how we're being taught this? Well, generally speaking, they're wanting you to hold the exercise for a duration of time. Unfortunately, the multifidus isn't meant for that. It's not meant for long isometric contractions. The muscle itself is designed for quick reactive stabilization, like when we're walking or running or jumping. When we're holding something for a long duration of time like that, all we're doing is we're shifting the focus away from the multifidus, which is already dysfunctional and not firing the way it should be, onto the more superficial muscles like your erector spinae, these big muscles that run the entire length of the spine, your glutes, and your deltoids, just to hold the weight of your limbs up in the air. In fact, research supports that low load, high repetition exercises like this are way more effective at stimulating and reactivating the multifidus muscle. So instead of holding this exercise, let's focus on controlled rhythmic movements instead. Let me show you. So in order to learn how to do an appropriate bird dog exercise, we gotta first discuss what's going on. I generally deal with chronic pain patients, which means the multifidus tends to be very dysfunctional. So we have to regress to very basic movements so that we can learn how to cue that muscle to turn on. So if that isn't you, you might be able to skip ahead a little bit. But ultimately, I like to teach this in 3 phases. We have arm, leg, and then arm and leg. And the secret here that no one ever talks about is weight distribution. So let's get into it. Here in the bird dog position, I have knees under hips, hands under shoulders. That multifidus isn't working right now. If I go to lift my arm up, instinctively, my body's gonna wanna shift all of my weight onto my other 3 points of contact. This is where we have to learn how to turn on the multifidus. You want to make sure that your weight remains evenly distributed down the middle. So if I remove one of my points of contact, my body has to fight to keep everything in line and make sure there's no shifting. That multifidus has to fire due to that. So phase 1 is arm. Arm come up and I alternate. I'm not allowing there to be any movement throughout my body. Level 2, leg. This is a lot harder because my leg weighs a lot more than my arm, but the same principle applies. I'm not allowing my hips to shift or rotate. That multifidus has to fire to keep everything balanced. If I've mastered that, level 3, arm and leg. Now this is where things get a lot more challenging to do correctly. And once we've mastered that, then we can go ahead and throw in some rhythmic movements, having this take about 2 to 3 seconds to come up and then 2 to 3 seconds to come down, with the main focus still being how am I distributing that weight into my points of contact. That's what's going to get that multifidus to fire effectively. So that is how you effectively perform a bird dog exercise and fire the multifidus muscle. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, be sure to like and follow for more PT related content. Remember, this is Dr. Nick saying stay active, stay healthy, and hopefully I don't have to see you.